Welcome everyone. This is Michael Gibbs and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm here today to help you build your best cloud computing career. Perhaps you're looking for your first solution architect job, your first cloud architect job, your first enterprise architect job, or any tech job for that matter. And that's why I'm here to help guide you and coach you to get your best job for the highest pay as fast as possible for the lowest cost. That's why I do what I do. And I've been doing this now for decades. For more than 2 decades, I've helped people find their first tech job or get promoted in tech. And I've worked as an architect now for 25 years. An enterprise architect, a network architect, a cloud architect, and I'm going to help you get cloud hired. And that's why I'm here, to help you build your best cloud computing career. Now, before we begin, I want to let you know that we've got a few things on the menu. Next Thursday, we'll have our free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. And on this webinar, which we're going to do next Thursday, I'll tell you everything you need to do to get cloud hired. So you know exactly what employers want, exactly the skills that you need, and exactly the capabilities that you need to get that first cloud architect job or solution architect job or enterprise architect job. And I'm going to tell you one thing, they're not covered in certification, but I can tell you exactly what to learn. So you can get cloud hired like my students do every single day of the week, almost every day. I've got a new cloud hired. A new solution architect got cloud hired with no background in tech before they met us, and I love it. That's why I do what I do. If you've not downloaded it yet, please get our completely free AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate and Professional Exam Guide. The link is in the chat box in the description below. It took about 100 people to put this book together to make sure you all have an absolutely wonderful cloud computing career. We're going to do this to help you as much as we can. Now, follow us on LinkedIn because we have so many good things coming through to you. So many free things, so many other things, lots of exciting news, and we're going to announce this on LinkedIn. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is today is the last day, the absolute last chance to take advantage of 30% off on any of our training for a long time. It's going to be 30% and then it's going to be gone. This applies to our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. If you want to get cloud hired as a solution architect, our Tech Career Accelerator Program, if you're a solution architect and you're trying to move up to that principal architect or distinguished architect level. And it includes our Tech Career Accelerator Program, anything we can, and our Tech Interview Mastery Program, anything we can do to help you build your absolute best cloud computing career. So bring me your questions so I can help you. And I can help you get to your goals as fast as possible for the lowest possible cost. But before we begin, give me a hashtag cloud hired and a hashtag cloud architect or a hashtag solution architect or a hashtag cloud engineer with whatever it is that's the career you're dreaming so I can help you get there because I like to know who my audience is. Chris Johnson, welcome everyone. Eddie Patrick over there in Cameroon, cloud hired, good to see you. Tom Sawyer, hello everyone. Haven't seen that name in a long time, good to see you back. Collins, cloud hired. Zuwal, hello. Hi, Melvin, CCNA. Yes, CCNA is a wonderful intro to networking certification. Tom Sawyer, you're new to the channel trying to figure out if you make it in the cloud. You tried learning the code, but that wasn't for me. Didn't like it. I don't blame you. I wouldn't code either. Are there cloud roles that might work for me? So of course there are, Tom Sawyer. So I want you to make this very clear to you. There are so many roles in tech that don't involve coding. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been an architect for 25 years, and solution architects, cloud architects, enterprise architects, not only do we not code, generally speaking, we don't even touch the technology. So Tom Sawyer, let me tell you the jobs that don't require coding. There are cloud sales professionals. They don't need to code. They are sales executives. No coding there. There are cloud program managers. And guess what? They don't code either. Now, my favorite of all these roles is the cloud architect, solution architect, or enterprise architect. And Tom Sawyer, these are hybrid roles. They're basically 50% executive and 50% technology professional. And for a cloud architect like me, here's the job. We design, present, and sell a technology solution to a business that's going to impact or improve their business performance. In a role like the cloud architect or the solution architect, we don't touch the technology. And Tom Sawyer, that's why nobody gets hired after passing a solution architect certification. And here's the reason why. In a certification, they have irrelevant labs for the cloud architect, like how to configure things, which we don't do anyway. And there's no training in terms of how to design a solution, how to ask questions for the customer. So for the solution architect, which is probably the best option out there, we don't code, we don't touch the tech. So there's no Linux involved in the solution architect's work. There's no Terraform involved in the solution architect's work. There's no Python involved in the solution architect work. There's no DevOps in the solution architect work. Here's what we do: design, present, and sell. So what are the skills for this career? Well, I'll tell you right now. There are high levels of business acumen, because you're going to be talking to your customer about positively impacting their business or improving the business. So you need to understand business, how to read a balance sheet, how to read a financial statement, what is top line revenue, what is EBITDA, for example, and how can an organization improve their revenue and improve their net income. You as a cloud architect or a solution architect or enterprise architect, that's your goal, to help a customer meet their objectives, whatever they may be. And usually there's a sales metric to it or an expenses metric to it. Now, the next thing that we do is obtain requirements from the customer. So for that, Tom Sawyer, we need extraordinarily good communication skills, because nobody's going to hand us a piece of paper and say, configure this, because we don't configure anything. What we have to do is basically ask the customer their needs. So lots of communication skills. Now, Tom Sawyer, we're going to be presenting to executives, presenting at conferences, presenting in a wide variety of environments, executive briefings, for example. So as a cloud architect, it's all about our presentation skills. In fact, you can see the people that have gotten a whole bunch of cloud certs, they go on interviews and they're asked to deliver a presentation and nobody's interested in them. Why? Because they didn't develop the presentation skills. They were busy worried about certification skills in somebody else's job. So don't get 10x certified in anything if you actually want a career. Learn your job, not somebody else's. Now, next, as an architect, we have to design, present, and sell a solution, right? So you're going to have to know how to sell. Now, as an architect, we're going to be doing a lot of writing, responding to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs. You're going to have excellent writing skills. You're going to be writing thought leadership documentation, so you're going to have to do a lot of writing there. You're going to be writing white papers to help your organization sell their things. You're going to be writing design documents that you have to hand to executives, management, and engineering professionals, and you need to be able to communicate equally well to all three. Now, because Tom Sawyer, as a solution architect, we're going to be out there talking to executives, we need to speak their language. And the CEO cares about one thing, and the CFO cares about something else, and the chief technology officer cares about something else. So as architects, here's what we're going to have to do. It's called being CXO relevant. Now, as an architect, once we get the business requirements, it's going to take a team, a village to design the architecture. It's not something one person's going to do on their own. So because of this, you're going to have to have good leadership skills to go lead the team that you're going to have to build that's going to help you design the architecture. Now, of course, you're going to have to sell this to your customer. So with that, you're going to need good sales skills. Now, you're also going to have to sell your internal management when you need resources. So you're going to have to sell people to work with you a lot. So you're going to need good sales skills. Now, what's the glue that holds all this stuff together? And that's related to your emotional intelligence. So for a role where you don't want to code, your ability to communicate and captivate others and lead a team is really what it's all about. And that's why I'm suggesting the solution architect role for you. Now, Tom, when it comes to actually designing a solution, you still have to know the tech, but we don't do the tech, we design the tech. So if you think about a building architect that's making a blueprint, that's what we do. The building architect doesn't use a hammer. He's not a construction worker. She's not a construction worker. The building architect doesn't use a screwdriver. Well, neither is the cloud architect. We never, ever, ever touch the technology, except we do write Word documents and PowerPoint presentations and make Excel spreadsheets. So as an architect, you need to know how the tech works. Now, what tech do you need to understand? You need to understand the network, the data center, and the cloud. I'm going to tell you right now, the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center that's been virtualized. So if you know the network and the data center, you know the clouds. So what are those skills you need to learn about? BGP, for example, IP addressing, subnetting, and supernetting, route summarization, route aggregation, traffic engineering. We're talking about WAN technologies such as IPsec tunnels, SSL-based VPNs. We're talking about SSL-based VPNs, software-defined networking, SASE, private lines, Ethernet over MPLS. So those are kind of some of the things we're talking about. Now, what else are we talking about? We're talking about VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, bundling links together with things like link aggregation groups, for example, one-to-one NAT, one-to-many NAT, static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT. We're talking about DNS, DHCP, ARP, and proxy. Again, all tech things that we need to learn, but we don't touch the tech. It's conceptual for us, the architects, and I don't blame you, Tom Sawyer. I hate to code, and I would never code. If I had to code in my job, I'd do something different. Totally get a brand new career. Now, next on the data center side, Tom, what we're talking about is servers and server virtualization and containers and container orchestration and storage area networks such as block storage, object storage, file storage. After that, we're talking about business applications that can improve a business performance, such as CRM systems or unified communication systems or ERP systems, to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So these are the things that we're talking about. And then we're talking about next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, those kinds of things. Now for us, it's how do we design the pieces and parts to go together to improve a company's business performance. So those are the skills for the architect, and we never touch the tech. We're all about how do we make the customer's business better. Think of us more as a consultant. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And Chris, we can go to the next question. But it's totally not necessary to code. There's lots of great cloud jobs without coding. Hello, Tyrone over there in South Africa. Good to see you today. Is there a way to write the solutions architect expert exams, or do you need a prerequisite? I think you have to take one of those beginning exams with them, but here's the thing. What's your goal? If you want to become a solution architect, make sure you learn the cloud. Make sure you learn how to design the cloud. Make sure you learn the business things. I'm going to tell you right now, a certification like the Solutions Architect Expert will teach you absolutely nothing in terms of being a cloud architect. Nothing. It'll teach you how to configure the cloud, which we don't do. It'll teach you the names of Azure's proprietary services, which you can't use with your customers. So it is a little checkoff box, which will help you get an interview, but there's literally speaking nothing in there that's going to get you hired. And as long, Manu, as you understand that certifications are nice to have, but won't teach you anything necessary to get hired, and you go out there and they actually do the learning on your own, certifications are nice because it'll help somebody give you an interview. But I'm going to make it clear, doing these exams will have no impact on you getting hired other than getting an interview. Now, Manu, I've got people getting hired every day that have 0 certifications. I have people getting hired that do have certifications. That's about the knowledge. Can you do the job? So sure, you can spend 2 or 3 days or maybe a week preparing for the Azure Solutions Architect Expert. But I want you to know, I'm going to make this very clear, that alone, along with every other certification in the world, will not get you a job. In fact, there's only one certification out there in today's world that's enough to get you a job at all. And that's the Cisco Certified Internet Expert. That will help you get a network engineering job. I promise you it will. And to some degree, it'll also help with cloud architect jobs, because the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center. But here's the thing, even if you did do the CCIE, which is 75,000 pages of reading, kind of keep this in the back of your mind. You can get hired with the right knowledge. So you can knock out this exam in a weekend if you're interested, or a week. Basic exam, and it's great, but make sure that you know that's not going to get you hired. It's just a little checkoff list with regards to what to do. So sure, go do it, but the key is to get knowledgeable. You need to learn these things, and they're not going to be covered there. Now, we could train you in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, or you could read the Internet Engineering Task Force request for comments on some of these things. You can read the manufacturer's documentation on all of these network and data center things. And the reason these solution architect exams are meaningless is they teach you things that don't work. So for example, in the AWS, the Azure exams, they'll teach you to use proprietary security solutions that are not adaptive in nature, which means they're not real and they're not good enough, so you can't use them. In the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate, Professional, and the Advanced Networking, they'll tell you that you can design your systems for high availability using the CloudFront Content Delivery Network. Now, here's the thing to know. AWS doesn't even use CloudFront as a primary content delivery network. I've seen 3 of them so far. They use Fastly, Akamai, and they also use CloudFront as well. But they wouldn't even design their systems the way they're teaching you in a Certified Solution Architect exam. And there's that. Now, when it comes to these databases that are taught in these exams, you have to remember, we can't use them in real life because everything's multi-cloud and they're proprietary. So again, keep that in the back of your mind. So sure, go do one of these things, but make sure that you've got something to back it up. And your plan of getting hired is not certifications. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to fail. Now, if you get the right skills, you'll be there. We can go to the next one. Melvin, this is a career change and no experience from you. That's fine. We can get you hired with the right training. This is totally things to do. With the right training, you can get hired. I've got students doing it every single day. And if you've got more questions, let me know. Ask us some questions. Would I suggest a CISM for someone willing to dive into cloud security architect? No, I would suggest you learn about security. Certification is never going to teach you this. I suggest you learn security. Sure, a CISM is a nice to have certification. I wouldn't recommend doing it. I'd recommend doing the CISSP. But again, making this very clear, if you want to be a cloud security architect, you're going to need to learn security. And that's not going to be covered in these certifications. You need real security. How do you architect your DMZs? That's not going to be in there. How do you set up or design an antitrust environment? Not going to be in these silly certifications. What kind of authentication, authorization, and accounting strategy is going to work? What kind of data loss prevention strategy does the organization need? What does the organization do for event correlation? What is the organization going to do for protecting data being stored in transit over the network? That's security architect work. And none of this is covered in a certification, none of it. So sure, it's good to have one security certification to help you get an interview. But Manu, if you think this is going to help you dive into a cloud security architect role, it's not. You need to learn the cloud. You need to learn design, presentation skills, sales skills, executive presence, those kind of things. And then, sure, you can do a certification. But, what really is a certification? A certification is nothing more than the icing on the cake, but you have to have the cake work. So no, the CISM is not going to help you get any kind of job, but it might help you get an interview. So I still don't recommend it for anybody. Now, if I was going to recommend one, it would be the CISSP. Again, that's very weak, but at least it's something that's based upon designing security. So still would be the better one. But it's not going to get you there. For a person with an engineer job, what is the most challenging skill to develop? Sales, presentation, or communications? Carlo, it's really 3 things. Now, engineers and architects have very different focuses. So I'm going to tell you, Carlo, when you're an engineer or someone's an engineer, they need at least as much training to become a solution architect or a cloud architect as they did as if I took them off the street. Now I'm going to tell you, I'll give you an example of Jennifer. Jennifer was a mental health tech who recently got hired by JP Morgan Chase, or Ivan Tamba, who got hired by AWS with no background, or a Coyote who recently got hired by AWS with no background. Now, I also recently got a Jawad hired by AWS, and he was a cloud engineer. And Jawad is great. Now, Jawad was advantage that he didn't have to learn the tech, but he had to learn how to not think or be an engineer anymore, which is equally challenging. So here's the thing. As an engineer, you think about the tech. As an architect, you think about, how do I help improve this business's performance? So big difference. As an engineer, the focus is the tech. As the architect, his focus is on the business. So a couple of things you have to do, Carlos, when you want to leave engineering and architecture, and I'm experts at taking engineers and training them to be architects. The first thing is to make the world think you're not an engineer. Yes, you heard me. You have to make the world think that you're not an engineer, and here's the reason why. When I speak to hiring managers, people at AWS, for example, a director recently came to my class. Chief technology officers, chief information officers, the people that hire cloud architects, they say, I don't want an engineer. I don't want a techie. I want a business executive that knows the tech. That's a big key, subtle difference. So there's that. So when it comes from an engineer, you may know the tech, but here's what they typically don't know. How to communicate to executives, that's CXO relevancy, how to sell. Engineers present exactly the wrong way for technology. Here's an engineering presentation. Well, we have this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, and this problem. And by the way, here's how smart I am, and here's the solution I created. Where the reality is, if somebody does that and as an architect, they'd be fired on their first minute. The architect needs to talk about the solution and the substantiating evidence as to why that was the chosen solution. The exact opposite. Now, we're also talking about presentation skills, and engineers and architects' presentations need to be different. Typically, the engineers are what's called low gravitas or low executive presence. Hi, my name is Michael Gibbs. I'm a CCIE and I'm a BGP expert. Or the architect needs training. In fact, when I left engineering and moved into architecture 20 some years ago, it was really about $20,000 of training just on just on developing executive presence. So I could say, hi, I'm Mike Gibbs. I'm one of the original CCIEs, an expert on networking, data center, and cloud technologies. Now, I didn't say anything different the second time than the first time, minus a few words, but it came alive and it was powerful. Now, most engineers tend not to have the leadership skills and need leadership skills training. Most engineers really need to learn how to sell. But it's also the business acumen, Carlo. And look, I've gotten people like Daniel Boso, his first solution architect job, and he didn't graduate high school, and his last job was actually selling shoes at Nordstrom. And I got him his first cloud architect job, but by the time I was done with him with his business acumen skills, it was clear that he was a business leader. And now that he's working and he loves his job, he's like, Mike, you were right. People pay me for my advice. It's all about consulting and providing guidance. I don't ever touch the tech. And all my graduates tell me that. Now, the rest of it, Carlo, is changing your brand. So when I look at an engineering resume, it's got a skills list a mile long. We can't have that as architects because we're business executives. Now, an engineer will say, coded new website in Java. An architect can't have that because we don't code. Now, if the architect was an engineer first, what they could have talked about was design new website with Java, which increased sales by 11%. Design new process for this, and this, which decreased error defects by XYZ%. So the thing is, that's really the change. So that change is changing your brand from engineer to architect, realizing that an engineer and an architect are two completely different animals. It's kind of like a pilot and an airplane mechanic. I look at the engineer as the airplane mechanic versus the pilot that's flying the plane. The airplane mechanic knows more about those engines than the pilot does, but that doesn't teach them how to fly the plane. So, Carlo, we can easily help you get there via training, but realize it's a big training curve. When I left engineering for architecture, it was a good $100,000 of education just to change careers when I did it 25 years ago. And that's really why when I went from network engineer to network architect to enterprise architect a couple of decades ago, It was all about training. Engineering did not prepare me for architecture. What prepared me for architecture was training. Now, I know most people can't afford the $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 that it takes to learn these skills. And that's why I have our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, where I teach all these things for basically a single day's pay for the average architect, average graduate that we have. But that's really what it takes. It takes the business acumen, the sales skills, the emotional intelligence, the leadership skills, executive presence, CXO relevancy, communications, because it's just a totally different job. So, of course, you can do it, but you just need training for the new career, because it's like if you were a nurse for a while and wanted to be a doctor, it's a different skill set. All that's going on here is a different skill set, but you can easily do it. And when we train engineers to become architects, they typically get the higher end of the salary. For example, I had a couple of engineers that we trained to be architects, and they all got $100,000 raises when they became architects, but they were coming in between $250,000 and $300,000 a year. Where most of my architects that have no background are coming in with their first tech jobs around $150,000 or $160,000. So it's good if you have the engineering background, as long as you're willing to forget the engineering and turn into an architect. And I've got lots of success with that. Love watching my students get hired. And it's truly, truly, truly a wonderful experience. Chris, let's go to the next one. Carlo, is an MBA a must for cloud architects? No. Is it possible to develop business acumen without an MBA? So, Carlo, I've gotten lots of people hired that don't have a college degree as cloud architects. I got someone like Daniel Bosu hired, and he didn't even graduate high school. Now, the key is there's a lot of business acumen to learn, but we teach it all in our program. And we made our program extremely affordable because, let's face it, I have about $250,000 education in total to learn these skills to be the elite architect that I am. Probably 20,000 of it was in CXO relevancy. Another 20,000 of it was in communication skills and presentation skills. And then I did an MBA, which you don't need to do. I did another master's degree that was really focused on communications with people, which really helped a lot. It was actually, I used to practice internal medicine, Carlo. So, when I practice internal medicine, realistically speaking, we're talking about a lot of changes and a lot of things that I've done. So there's that. But no, you don't need an MBA. MBAs are helpful. I'm always going to recommend MBAs, but it's unnecessary for the job. I have one, almost everybody on my team has one, but we get people hired every day without even college degrees. But it's a matter of the right training, the right knowledge, the right experiments, the right projects, the right leadership, the right branding. It's about the whole package, not any one thing, Carlo. It's the whole package. Good question. Chris, we can go to the next one. Anakin, your work history isn't great. That's okay. You spent a bunch of time trying to learn Forex, training, stop options, and crystal. You learned a lot, but mostly lost money. How can you use that to help your resumes and interviews? Well, Anakin, you're going to be very careful about that. And here's the reason why. Most people that decided to learn Forex training and options training and crypto training were trying not to work. And they were looking for the next get-rich-quick scheme. And that typically is something that employers absolutely hate. Now, the key is if you did something with crypto. I did things with crypto. I built a data center of mining systems. I had about a couple hundred GPUs mining things. And I had a bunch of ASIC miners that were Linux machines that were running ASICs. And if that's the kind of thing you've done, Anakin, then sure, talk about the data centers that you design for your cryptocurrency. Now, if you're truly doing trading, trading systems need big, powerful computers. They don't use standard computers. And here's the reason why. When it comes to trading, especially institutionalized trading, you're looking for a competitive advantage. So you could place a trade faster when news occurs, or even better yet, an algorithm. Now, did you use any algorithms, Anakin, in your work? If so, talk about that. Talk about the algorithm and how that improved your profitability by buying, selling, or trading things on real time. And if not, talk about the tech lessons learned. I'm hoping there's some business acumen lessons learned. Now, not all traders know to do this, but were you reading the balance sheets? Were you reading the financial statements? Did you learn, what options you can buy that you could be long on? Did you learn about using options to hedge your bets? Buy a stock and use an option to make sure that, you can hedge against losses. Did you do those kind of things? Because that's going to be there. But otherwise, Anakin, it's not going to look great on your resume. No, that's okay, Anakin. I had a student, Balwinder, and she was petrified about being a stay-at-home mom for the last 8 years. Now, she's now a cloud solution architect with Azure, and we helped her get hired there. But here's the thing. She built the right brand. So, if your work history is not great, that's okay too. It doesn't have to be great. Get the right skills. Make sure your communication skills are right. Get the right sales skills. Write some blogs. Next time we write a book, come write a book with us. Do something to go out there and get your name. Post on LinkedIn. Post some thought leadership things. Post something that shows how you know how to impact the business performance with technology. And now you're there as a great architect. So your past does not define your future. Now, Anakin, if you were an axe murderer and you'd been in jail, that would hurt your chances. But, I don't think you're going to win any wars with, the Forex training. And the reason is for the most part, most people see these people doing this as a get-rich-quick scheme, which can work against you, not help you. So the key is to position what you learned out of it, position why you did it, position maybe if there was any cool tech that you used, and kind of focus on those things as opposed to the stock trading. And do the best you can. If you've got the right skills, it doesn't matter. The world's going to love you anyway, Anakin. C. Lemon. Hi, Mike. Why did you transfer from network engineer to cloud architect? Actually, I transferred from network engineer to network architect. What was my main point? The salary your main point, or do you like the role, or is it self-actualization? It's none of those things. CC Lemon, I liked being a network engineer. What I didn't like was being in the data center at 3 o'clock in the morning fixing things that were broken. Now, I fell into my first network architecture 25 years ago, and here's the reason why. Even 25 years ago, here's what I was doing. When I first went into networking, and within 6 months I was a CCIE, but when I first went into networking, I started teaching people. And I was teaching them BGP. See, in medicine, we see it, we do it, we teach it to somebody else, and it makes it in our mind. So as soon as I learned something, I taught it to every other network engineer I could find. And in the end, what was I doing? I was looking at people's networks and saying, that's designed wrong, that's designed wrong, that's designed wrong, and that's designed wrong. So there's that. And that's what I did. So I became a network architect for a little while. Now, ultimately, CC Lemon, I became an enterprise architect a few years later. Now, that doubled my salary over the network architect. CC Lemon, truth be told, I earn a lot more as an enterprise architect than a cloud architect. I just like the cloud. And the cloud is the next evolution of the data center. And even now, I'm an enterprise cloud architect, not a regular cloud architect, because I focus on the big things because it pays me twice as much as standard cloud architect roles. So I did it because I did it because I didn't like engineering. I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like, what I didn't like was this follow, CC Lemon. Here I'd be killing myself as an engineer, and some architect would show up in a suit. It was like they didn't have half of the tech skills, but they were getting paid, more than I was, and they're working less. And then as I became an architect, I realized, oh my God, these engineers are locked up they're locked up practically like slaves, working 1,000,001 hours a day, getting treated horribly with no respect for management. And here I am as an architect, and it's like, what a nice day I'm having. Okay, it's time to go to Morton's for dinner. Got to entertain my client. Got to drink a nice bottle of wine. Let's get these $50 shots of Macallan 25 to entertain your clients. So my job went from basically from working hard in the middle of the night to taking people to lunches and dinner and playing golf with them. So for me, it was because I loved it. And then the reality is, CC Lemon, I always liked talking to people much more than I actually liked sitting behind a computer, glued, typing things out frantically. So I became a network engineer to network architect to enterprise architect. They did the cloud thing just because at Cisco they made everybody do the cloud thing around 2010. All of us that were architects, they were like, here, you got to go become cloud architects now. You got to learn the cloud. Because we knew the cloud. Now, CC Lemon, I've been working on the cloud since 1996. My first cloud was Frame Relay. My next cloud in 1998 was ATM. In 2000, it was the BGP RFC 2547 cloud. In 2001, it was the VPLS cloud. So, that's all I've done for the last 25 years is cloud stuff and network stuff. So to me, it was because I liked it. And I got to tell you, all the engineers that I've turned into architects are like, Mike, people actually pay us for this? I get paid twice as much to do half the work. Why didn't I do this earlier? And I'm like, I don't know. You're married to engineering. So, but you got to be happy. So CC Lemon, for somebody that likes to code and configure all day, and they don't like to talk to people, stay engineers. They like it. I don't like it. I'd rather talk to people, lead people, sell a product, write a thought leadership document. I'd rather get paid to take someone to dinner than have to code all and configure all day. Because to me, that's like some form of medieval torture if I had to code and configure. But we're all different people, so it's all about doing exactly what's going to make you happy. That's the main thing. What makes you happy? And that's what I recommend you do. Good question, CC Lemon. Chris, we can go to the next one. What level position should you apply for when looking for that first job? Associate level or senior roles? Well, I wouldn't look for associate, and I wouldn't look for senior either. I'd look for a regular standard role. So almost never does anybody get an associate job out of my program. 90% of my people get regular jobs. Some of my people get senior jobs as well. But, it depends on what it is. For example, I had a Joe Millen. He was a network guy from Cisco like me, and I got him hired by AWS within 3 weeks as a senior cloud solution architect. But he had networking background. But Z-Wall, your first job should be a regular job, not a senior job, not an associate job, a regular job. The associates are junior. Senior, generally speaking, has 5 to 10 years experience in the role, and the regular people typically have 1 to 2 years experience in the role. 1 to 5. That's typically where my students go, that 1 to 5 years level of experience upon graduation, because we give them special training. So Z-Wall, that's what I recommend, not associate or senior. Straight dev, a normal, regular role. That should be where you should go. But that's assuming you've actually had the right training. Because none of my students start out at help desk. None of my students take cloud admin jobs or cloud engineer jobs. They go straight to cloud architect jobs. So, but the key is what are you willing to do in terms of training and getting the right training? How hard are you willing to work? Now, here's the thing, Z-Wall. If your training's right, you don't need to start at the associate. And by not starting at the associate, you can save years of career to getting to the role that you want. So maybe you have 2 years of work experience and become a senior one versus needing to get 5 to 10 with regular people. Hope I answered your question. Robert Welch was one of my amazing students who's now a cloud security architect. So good to see you, Robert Welch. Happy Halloween, and I'm so happy and excited for the way things worked out with you. Great job, Robert. What level of networking knowledge you gain from the Clear Development course? It's somewhere between a CCNA and a CCIE. And what I mean by that is with the BGP and all the IP addressing and all the network planning that we teach, that's CCIE level. But in some cases, what we do is CCNA level. See, there's no such thing as levels of knowledge. There's either you know it or you don't know it. And for me, the reality is that, there's no level of certification that's going to teach you anything in today's modern world. And see, man over cloud, there's a couple of reasons certifications are meaningless. One, you can go to any website and buy a copy of the exam and not take it. Now, in today's world, you can find anybody to take your AWS or Azure exams for you. That's right, you heard me say it, for you, and you can get certified and still know nothing. And then mad over cloud, even if you did get certified, what's covered in today's certifications? Even the Cisco ones, and I love Cisco. It's more about the name of Cisco's services and how to configure them. But in our program, we're going to teach you how to design them, which is not taught in any of these things other than the CCIE level. So it's a matter of having the right skills for the job versus a certification level skill. Certification level skills are just that. They're certifications. Nobody's going to hire somebody because they have a certification. Nobody cares if somebody has a certification. And when you see me bring in hiring managers like Alvin, do you care about certifications? He laughs. He says, I don't care about certification. I care about, can somebody do the actual job that I'm hiring for? Can I trust them? What's their attitude, enthusiasm, and passion? Are they a negative Nelly, or do they raise the energy in the room? Are they lazy, or are they willing to go above and beyond? Are they a solo person, or are they a team player? These are the things that people look at. But in our training program, I'd say you get a cross between CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE based upon whatever's necessary for you to be good at the job. That's what I would say. It's everything you need for the job and nothing you don't. And that's how we're able to get people hired so quickly, because we take in about 50,000 pages of reading and we summarize that to approximately 500 hours of training in our training program. And that's why our people get hired so often, because of that. So focus on the course if you want to train with us. Follow the lessons, and don't think in terms of certification terms. Think in terms of what hiring managers desire. Think in terms of what's necessary to be a great cloud architect, not what's necessary to pass a silly certification exam. Because you can pass every certification exam you want. And guess what? It's not going to mean anything if you don't have the actual skills. So focus on skills, 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 not certifications. Good question, though. Let's go to the next one. Patrick Laguna. Is it important for a cloud architect to have business skills? Patrick, and I know you're amazing. You're now working at Cisco, which is, my favorite company, and I worked for almost a decade. Yes, these jobs are all about business. I would tell you, Patrick, that most of the architects that I know say it's all about business skills. And at Cisco, that was where they really, really, really made it clear to me. It was about business skills, business skills, business skills, business skills, and more business skills. So yes, Patrick, critical, critical, critical business skills. In fact, if you've got the right business skills, you can even be a little weak on technology, but you can't be weak on business skills. You shouldn't be weak on technology, but I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, business skills are 100. That's how critical they are. And that's why, Patrick, and I know you're a student in our program, but I also know you took this slight diversion to go to get this great job at Cisco. So while you're at Cisco, keep following the program and focus on the business skills. It's all about business skills. And that's why we take people and we retrain them. One of my people spent $35,000 on something that was supposed to help him level up in technology, and he was completely unemployable. It was Daniel Bosu. You can hear about it. We actually had to completely retrain him from scratch. Now he's working as a cloud architect. We made him forget all that garbage that he took and taught him the real well. And that's really the key, Patrick. It's all about business and polish and sales skills and executive presence and CXO relevancy. Those are the critical things. And guess what? You have that, you get hired. Patrick, you're an amazing, amazing technology professional. I'm so thrilled to see you at Cisco and absolutely love it. Let's go to the next one. Dear Mike, you have no BSc in any field. That's fine. Do I think you can land a job and get cloud hired as a cloud architect in particular? Well, Daniel Bosu got hired, and he has no degrees in anything. In fact, he didn't even graduate high school, and with their training, he's now working for JP Morgan Chase. Delroy Batt, good friend of mine, I trained him. He's now working as a cloud security architect. He had 3 offers, and he has an associate degree, no other degrees. We've got lots of examples of people that didn't go to graduate college that all got hired as cloud architects. It has nothing to do with your paperwork. It has nothing to do with your education. It has everything to do with, can you do the job? Do you have the right attitude? Are you energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate about the work? Can you communicate well? Can you lead? Can you sell? Can you design? Those kind of things. Can you do all those things? And are you competent? But no, it doesn't matter if you have a degree or no degrees. Kenneth, let me tell you this. You know what my master's degree was in? When I got my first network engineer job and my first solution architect job, my degree was in nursing. I was a nurse practitioner with my own internal medicine office. In fact, I used to make a joke about it. People, when they'd hire me, they're like, Mike, not only can you fix my broken network, but when I got a headache, you can treat me. You can write me a prescription. And some days I used to in those days. But, that's the key. It doesn't matter. You can land a great job with the right training, Countess. But you must have the correct training, because it's not going to happen by itself. But with the right training, you're there. Now, here's the thing, Countess. People seem to have this idea of how they're going to get jobs in their mind. It's crazy. I wasn't born knowing how to practice internal medicine. I wasn't born knowing how to sell. I wasn't born knowing network architecture. I wasn't born knowing karate. I wasn't born knowing yoga. I learned these things, and you can learn them too. And you can have a great, great, great solution architecture, cloud architecture. And of course, you can become cloud hired with the right training. Of course you can. Chris, we go to the next one. Zach, you enrolled in this course. For anyone wondering, it's well presented. You have learned a lot in the few weeks you've been in. Zach Marcus, thank you so much for your kind words. We love working with you, and we absolutely love when our students get hired. We love watching them grow. We love watching their futures, and it's pretty exciting, just like Robert Welch, who just got a very good recent cloud security architect job. And we love watching people go again and again and again. Bliss, how do you approach transitioning from the front desk to an architect in the same company? Bliss, I'm going to tell you that's not likely going to happen for you. You're most likely going to have to change. And what I mean by change is, what happens is you get what's called typecast. So I know Sylvester Stallone. I think he's one of the best actors I've ever met. But here's the thing. He's not making romantic comedies, okay? He's capable of making romantic comedies. He's capable of doing anything. Trust me, you talk to him and you see exactly how smart he is. But he's not doing romantic comedies. Let's talk Arnold Schwarzenegger again. Governor of the state of California, governor of the 5th largest economy in the world. Mr. Olympia, great artist. He's not making love stories either. And here's the reason why, Bliss. These guys are seen as action stars. Action stars. Action stars. And once people see you as front desk, in most cases, it's going to be very hard. So typically speaking, my approach is build the right brand, do the right message, and most likely you'll have to change careers. For example, I had a Bellwender recently. She was a stay-at-home mom. Loved Bellwender, incredible cloud architect. She was an incredible student, and we loved working with her. Now, she was working for Amazon, not AWS, in the customer service department. One of the people when you call and you get a product and it's the wrong product. She was doing that. And her next job that we got her was a solution architect job at Microsoft. Now, it's easier for somebody else to see you as the leader than your company to see you as change. So you can do it. Now, Bliss, I was an engineer, and I moved to an architect role. And here's what I had to do, Bliss. As an engineer, people had all these techie explanations for me. And I had mentioned to my manager that I wanted to move into an architect role, and he laughed at me. And he said, well, you don't have that je ne sais quoi. You're not wearing suits every day. You're wearing your T-shirts. You don't have those leadership skills. So, Bless, you know what I did? Next day, that night, I went and bought a couple of Armani suits, went back to work as soon as the suits were ready. And as soon as I got there, my manager was like, you look good today. I'm like, well, thank you. And then he asked me a tech question. And I said, I'm not sure how that works, but let me bring in this expert. Mike, I need you to lead this project. Sure, I don't know anything about that, but let me create a team of experts. Mike, I need you to do that. I don't know how that works, but brought in a team of experts. for pretending that I didn't know the tech and I only knew the digital piece, the digital transformation, the business transformation, and I looked and walked and talked like an architect and a sales rep and not an engineer. A couple months later, I was actually an architect at that company with a 6-figure plus raise from my previous job. But that's the key. It's very, very, very hard to do that. So what I'd say is where you're at, it's a possibility. If you really build your right brand, start dressing for the jobs you want, start speaking at a completely different level, start trying to meet the business executives, start building a blog that shows you as a thought leader in technology, tune your LinkedIn profile, and let the world know you're capable. And you may get there at your current job. But if you don't, you get hired by somebody else and you'll be happily ever after. Good question, boss. Robux, can I have some advice on how to improve your English language? Yes. Speak and write and present. Research, present, research. So practice speaking. Get in front of audiences. Watch English TV. Make sure that you never use things like captions to try and make it easier. Pay attention. Start talking to more people in America, in England, in Australia, in Canada, and literally speak. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. That's what you need to do. Now, I'm going to tell you this. When I learned Greek, and I didn't learn Greek until I was like 21 years old, when I met my wife, because Greek was not spoken in my house. So what did I do? I started speaking to every Greek person I could. Heck, I even found a speaking opportunity at the University of Athens and literally taught at a university in Greece to improve my Greek. So go out there and do it, Robux. Speak some more. If you're in a training program like ours, speak to the other people that are there. Present. That's the job. So go talk to people. Whatever you're not good at, do more of it. Do more of it, and more of it, and then you're going to be in great shape. So it's kind of like this. If you wanted to do pull-ups and you can only do 2, but your goal is 30, do pull-ups every day until you can do 30. So just go out there, talk to people, read books, read textbooks, present to your students, to your peers, present, and have conversations. And sure enough, it'll be second nature for you. I remember aerobics and I lost it, which is pretty sad. I dated a girl from Cuba. I only dated 3 girls in my life, and I was married with the 3rd girl I dated. The first girl I dated was Cuban. She was a wonderful girl. Her family was nice. I was speaking Spanish when I was there, and then a couple months later, I had to go work in Panama. By the time I left Panama, I spoke Spanish. Unfortunately, I didn't use it, and now my Spanish is not so good these days. But, if I had to go back to Spain, where I've been, or Panama, or a country like that, where I spent a lot of time, I learned Spanish by speaking to a lot of Spanish-speaking people. Chara, Carrie, you have a lot of experience in IP networks. That's a good start. And have signed up for the course. Do you have sales presentation opportunities to develop in the course? Yes, Chara. In every class, I call on people to present. Make sure that you actually present. Beginning of the class, I tell everybody to turn on their cameras. And some people present and get lots of opportunities to work on their presentation skills. And some people shut off their cameras and hide. And when they shut off their cameras and hide and don't volunteer, there's not an opportunity to do them. So if you're newer, make sure that you turn on your camera. When I ask for volunteers, do it. Volunteer. Be part of it. Please participate. Because yes, there's lots of sales presentation opportunities. There's all these projects that you have to turn in where you get feedback on them. But I literally coach you on all the people that literally are there. Last week, twice per week, I made the people present to me. Now it's sad, only a few people actually volunteered. Half of the people didn't, but yes. And present. There's 1,000,001 opportunities. I want you to take advantage of them. As an architect, who has time to hear? Who has had time to hear how does he approach the customer since it requires good listening? Listen, I'm not really sure what do you mean who has time to hear? Your job is to go out there and talk to your customers and listen and take good notes and listen. And Bliss, if you're not used to doing this, take some training like the kind we do, which tells you the kind of questions to ask the customer. It requires good listening and it requires good training. So, that's the key. You always have time to hear what your customers are saying. Always have time. But you got to go do it. And you got to go communicate with them. So I'm not really sure I truly understand your question. If you might ask it a different way, I may be able to help you. Chris, did you understand what he was saying?
I did not.
Okay. AWS cert or Azure Cloud cert doesn't matter. Jonathan, I want to make it clear. It's meaningless. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is, do you know how to design a solution? Do you know how to present the solution? Do you know how to sell the solution if you're an architect? And if you're an engineer, do you know how to design and build the thing? Do you know Linux if you're an engineer? Do you know Terraform if you're an engineer? Do you know Bash scripting and Python scripting for an engineer? See, engineers and architects are different. Which cert you do, it doesn't matter. There's nothing in your certification which we're actually going to do in reality. And that's why certifications alone will never get anybody a tech job as an architect. But, Jonathan, tell me the job you want, and then I can tell you the required skills. But it doesn't matter whether you do an AWS cert or an Azure cert. Just don't do the following. Don't get too many certifications, and only get professional ones. So one professional cloud cert is perfect. Maybe get a cloud cert in networking, data center, or security based upon the goal career you have. So if you tell me the career, then I can help you get there. But certification doesn't matter. Whatever one you feel like getting is okay. You have 2 years work history as a software engineer, currently trying to transition to cloud architect. Will this work history help me get a higher salary once you finish training and certs? Well, when you have finished training, the answer is yes. You can get hired without certs. We got Robert Welch in the chat box. The only certification he has is a cloud practitioner, but he got hired for a great job because of his competency. Now, the software engineer is going to help and hurt you at the same time. Now, software engineers don't have to be this way. But most people have it in their mind that the programmers are the hardest, most miserable people to deal with. It's not true, by the way, Jonathan, but most people have that in the back of their mind. So the key is if you can make the transition and you can focus on your emotional intelligence and leadership skills and sales skills and executive presence, your CXO relevancy, leadership skills, communication skills, business acumen skills, then yes, you'll earn more. You're also going to need architect training, because what software engineers do versus what cloud architects do are completely different. Now, Jonathan, I would tell you, if you had networking and data center backgrounds, then you'd really be there and have a lot more of that behind the scenes skills. Coming from a software perspective, most of that is not what we deal with as architects. Having said that, if you have a software engineering perspective, it might help you understand Kubernetes a little better and microservices a little better, which will make you worth more. So, Jonathan, the key for you to remember is business. Make the world see you as a business leader and an executive and not an engineer, and you'll be there too. But make sure you get training, because the certifications don't count as training as far as I'm concerned. Certifications are the name of a service, which is usually proprietary, that you can't use, and how to configure that service, which we don't do. So, Jonathan, make sure you get the business piece of it, the leadership piece, the skills piece, the executive presence. When you do that, then people are going to look at your tech background and say, woohoo, this is really great. And then they're going to see the architect in you and not the software engineer in you. And wow, yeah, that's when you're getting the $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 jobs. Exactly, it will help you. Good question, Jonathan, but make sure you get the right training. The average salary in Indeed Glassdoor is showing 150. God, that's a lot less than we normally see. In your experience, how much did the average cloud architect earn? So Harsha, this is dependent upon the architect, and here's what I'm going to say. If the architect's focus is on the tech, they're going to max out around 120, 130. Now, an enterprise architect like me maxes around $500,000 a year. So realistically speaking, the difference is, are you training high-value skills or are you training low-value skills? If you're training to get 10x AWS certified, you can keep your career in that $120,000 range and you're never going to get out of it if you're lucky enough to get the job in the first place. Now, by comparison, if you increase your business acumen, which improves your customer's ability to make a profit with your technology, poof, now you're a $200,000 architect. Now, when you train your soft skills, your emotional intelligence, add another $30,000 to $50,000 onto your salary. Now, when you max out your presentation skills, add more money to your salary. Max out your leadership skills, add more money to your salary. So, our average students typically are in the range between 120 and 287. That was the range this year for anybody that completed our program completely. Those that are earning between 250 and 300 have much more polish, much more business. Those who focus on the tech are obviously going to be the lowest paid. So it's based upon you and how you do your training. I remember, Harsha, I was a sales engineer / solution architect, junior level architect at the time. And 20 some years ago, I had a manager that was very good. He changed my life. I fell asleep during a CISSP boot camp, and he pulls me into a room. He gave me an award where I thought I was going to get, disciplined for falling asleep in a course. And he says to me, Mike, he says, do you know the difference? This is 20 years ago now. Between a $150,000 sales engineer like you and a $300,000 enterprise architect. And I was like, I'm all ears. Tell me. And he said, it's the impact you make on your customer, which is related to your sales skills, your executive presence, your CXO relevancy, your business acumen, your leadership skills, your emotional intelligence, how well you can capture others. A year later, pretty much I was earning that bigger salary, but I took all those things and all the training. So you got to remember this. It's about the total knowledge that you have and the impact you can make to your customer. A cloud architect like me can easily go bring in $1 billion deal. I bring in $1 billion deal to my company. Could they afford to pay me $5 million, $10 million? Of course they can. It doesn't matter. Now I could be a technical architect who's not a cloud architect who focuses only on the tech. Can't pay this person very much because they're not bringing in business. So I'd say our average graduates are between 120 and 270 based upon how new they are to tech. We're dealing with about 140 or so with people that haven't graduated high school that are getting solution architect jobs. We're dealing with about 280 plus when we're dealing with people that have got an MBA. Anywhere in between them, that's kind of where you're at. And we've seen architects get much higher salaries than that. Harsha, I learned something a long time ago. The numbers on Glassdoor are meaningless to me. And here's why. I never earned anything with regards to what Glassdoor said. The CCIs like me were getting paid $110 an hour 25 years ago. We were all working 60 hours a week. That was $7,000 a week or $350,000 a year. Everybody was doing it. That was a CCIE. Now, we were told that network engineers got paid 80, but some of us were making 300,000 plus. So it's all about how do you manage your career. I can tell you this, if your focus of your career is on certification, it's going to be in the low end. If your focus is how do we make a bigger impact to your customer, now you're in an elite place, earning much more money. But 160 is considered average, feels a little low to me. My graduates that have any background in tech are earning far more than that. My graduates with no background in tech are earning about that. So I'd say that's a good starting salary for an average cloud architect. But the better you are, the higher your salary will be. Is it possible to create your personal brand using only LinkedIn? I don't know, Carlo. How good of a branding expert are you? How great are you? Do you know how to build a brand? only using LinkedIn? Are you willing to pay $3,000 to $5,000 a month for a LinkedIn expert to help you build a brand? Because if you do pay $3,000 to $5,000 a month on LinkedIn for a good LinkedIn branding person, you could probably do it after about a year. So the question is, how hard are you willing to work? What's your goal? I mean, I've got students that don't write blogs that get hired, but they co-author books with me. They're doing these kind of things with me. Plus, the world comes to them because they're part of Go Cloud Careers. I mean, executives come to me every week and say, Mike, I need a cloud architect. Who's readying your program? Because they know that we're not silly certification providers. They know that we rehab all those people that are certified. We reteach them how to get hired, because they'll tell me every day when I speak to an executive at one of these companies, the hiring manager, they're like, Mike, I'm not interested in certified people. I need people that know how to be architects. So sure, you can do it, Carlo. But in our program, we'd have you do some other things in addition to this to make sure you stood out. And if you're not with our program, go find yourself a good LinkedIn person if that's all you want to do. They're going to be between $2,000 to $5,000 a month, probably on the higher end to get somebody good, and they can help you build a brand just by using LinkedIn. Now, if you really want to get hired, you could take our Cloud Architect Career Development Program and take advantage of the 30% off. And I want to make sure anyone that wants to get a great cloud job takes advantage of this opportunity when it's there, because it changes their lives. Here's the biggest thing my students say when Chris does the exit interviews on them: Mike, changed my life. My family's better. My relationships are better from all the emotional intelligence training. I earn a life-changing salary, and I love my days being frustrated as opposed to where I was before. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you want to get cloud hired, now's the best time to do it. And the sale ends today. It's not going to be there much longer. It ends today. Okay, Chris, I can deal with questions up till 3:30 today. Robix as a cloud architect interact with CXOs? Yes. There's no way to do a job to find out what your customer's business wants if you can't talk to the executive. It's 100% a necessity. And nobody will hire you unless they know that you can interact with chief executive officers, chief operating officers, chief technology officers. It's a critical prerequisite for the job. Now, you don't need to code in this job, but you sure do know how to interact with the CXO. Good question. We'll go to the next one. Hi, Mike. I have an AWS certified solution architect. I'm assuming that's professional. You have no hands-on experience and you're just a fresher. Can I please advise you how to start your career in the cloud? Varesh, assuming you have the certified solution architect professional, well, first tell me which career you want in the cloud, because you didn't tell me your career, and every career has a different career path. You only mentioned the certification. So tell me exactly what your goal is, and then I can give you some guidance. So tell me what your goals are. Farouk, I'm in the program training for the cloud security architect. My Cisco associate level certs will expire soon. Should I take a pro level exam to renew your qualifications, but also for your resume? Well, Farouk, it depends what certifications you have. If you have a CCNA that's ready to expire, I might do that because it looks pretty good. Renew it as a CCNP. It's a basic exam. It's not a hard thing to do. I did my CCNP in 10 days 20 years ago, so it's not that big of a deal. I might do that, just one. I'd probably also still get a cloud certification at a pro level. Not that they're going to get you hired, Farouk, at all, but it's going to help you get an interview. So, kind of keep that in the back of your mind. It'll be a resume builder for your interview. But Farouk, if you have the opportunity to get real training, or focusing on our training, or the certs, focus on the training, not the certs. if you're in our training, and I know you're in our training, and you want to get an extra cert to make the resume a little padded, yeah, sure, go do it. Just make sure that it's not going to overburden you. Because here's what we need to remember: the opportunity cost of your time. When you spend time in one place, you can't spend it somewhere else. So if you do this, if you're like most people and you do certifications at the expense of getting the correct training, it destroys their career. By comparison, if you have the correct training and you're doing the correct training, and all you need to do is just knock out a certification, and you can do it in a week or something like that, then poof, go ahead and do it. So the key is, I don't know your exact status. I don't know how much time you have. Focus on being great at your job. And if you still got time to do the certification, do it. But if not, focus on being great as opposed to just taking a certification. Good question. Of course, I can do one or two more, maybe three in most cases. Carlo, can I explain what is emotional intelligence? Absolutely. Emotional intelligence is the following: the ability to manage your emotions and help manage other people's emotions. And basically speaking, there's two kinds of people you'll meet. You'll meet some people where you walk in the room to them, you talk to them, and in the end of the conversation, you feel so good. That's someone that's emotionally intelligent. Now, sometimes you speak to somebody that always says the wrong things, makes you feel like garbage when you're done with them. That's someone that lacks emotional intelligence. By the way, Carlo, emotional intelligence is, statistically speaking, the biggest predictor of your career success. People that are more emotionally intelligent than others, on average, earn 30% more than other people do. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been studying emotional intelligence for 25 years. I come from a career in medicine, which is basically all about your emotional intelligence. And I've taken at least $100,000 worth of training on emotional intelligence, leadership skills, soft skills, executive presence, these things. And then I did an MBA as well. So emotional intelligence is the most critical thing you can actually develop. It's the most important things that you deal with. So if you can get more emotionally intelligent, you'll get hired for jobs that they wouldn't consider you for otherwise. Your relationships will be better, and you'll earn far, far, far money in life. How much money are we talking about? Well, if you're dealing with an average salary of a solution architect at $150, and somebody trains emotional intelligence, now you're really dealing with 30% on that, which is about $55,000 a year. So $55,000 a year over the course of 30 years is $1.5 million. So Carlo, either take our emotional intelligence training or take the emotional training elsewhere. Now, good emotional training costs you $10,000 to $15,000. This has been the focus of my life for the last 25 years, so I provide it. And the whole training course costs a single day's pay, and it even trains you to be an architect. But make sure you get emotional intelligence training for any career. It'll make you better, more hireable, and it'll really make a big difference in your salary. Mike, Chris, you have to say our dedication to mission of improving people's lives is commendable. And for those thinking of enrolling, do not hesitate, just do it. Thank you so much. N96 CCP, he's one of our students. We've got a lot of amazing students, and they accomplish incredible, and amazing things. Thank you for your kind words. Business-related questions. What questions would you ask a CISO versus a VP of procurement? Now, Robert, that is a really different thing. And I don't want to talk too much about these because it's a career thing. And if you desire two things, one is you can attend any of our cloud architect classes. You're already a student, even though you graduated, come. And I'd love to answer these things. But if I was going to ask a CISO, I'd be asking them about their environment. I'd be asking about their assets, for example. What are they trying to protect? What's the status of their systems? Have they had any penetration testing? Where are the weaknesses in their system? What are their people doing? What security appliances do they have? What security posture do they have? What is their encryption strategy, for example? And that's just a couple of examples. Where if I was talking with the VP of procurement and it's a matter to get them to purchase my stuff, now I'd be talking about things such as buying and purchasing decisions and financing things and terms like net 10, net 30, net 90. And I'd be more focused on things that are related to them buying things and delivering properly on the things they bought. So it's a great question. If you wanted to pop in, maybe this Friday would be a good day to ask these questions and I can get to there in depth, Robert. We'd always love to see you back in class. I know you're hired, I know you're a success story, but anytime you want to ask a question, we'd love having you. And I welcome you any day. You've got an open invitation, an open ticket to come ask these questions, get a real detailed response in class any day you want. Robert, we love you.
All right, Mike, I'm going to cut you off.
Okay, sounds good. Everybody knows I've got some significant laryngitis from speaking too long and too much. So we're trying to preserve my voice. So I'm going to end on 3 things. We have a completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar next week. Come to the webinar. We'll tell you everything you need to get hired. If you've not downloaded our completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect and Associate and Professional Exam Guide, please download it. The link is in the description below in the chat box. We've got lots of exciting things coming on LinkedIn. We're going to announce them on LinkedIn. Some really exciting things coming to help you in your careers and your lives. So please sign up. We'll have another one next Thursday. And today is the last day of our 30% discount. I want to get you all cloud hired, literally every last one of you. I want to change your lives, add a couple of zeros to your salary, and truly, truly, truly help you live the best life. So please sign up, use coupon code SECURITY, take advantage of Become a Cloud Architect with our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, master the interview with our Tech Interview Mastery Program. And if you're already an architect and want to be a distinguished architect, take our Tech Career Accelerator Program. But we're here. We want to help you get cloud hired. Take care, everybody.